Listen, the only true girl's girl that I know tells the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. This podcast called The Virgo's Bible is it. Here, listen. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Virgo's Bible. All right, let's get right into it. Law number 10, be a resourceful witch. Okay, so as I was getting myself together today, I said to myself, you know what? I was watching, I think I was listening to a podcast and also reflecting on a couple of things that happened in my life. And it made me grateful to have the type of mother that I do. My mother, just to give you a little bit of background, my mother is a boomer. And she was taught this way. I mean, of course, when you learn how to use what you have to get more, then you understand the value of things. So you go for and strive for more, so you don't have to be at that place, right? My mom was born in the 50s, so she didn't seen hella shit in her day. But I wanted to talk about being resourceful because this is something that everyone, but some people just don't understand the value of resources. And of course, we are living in a time where the powers that be, the powers that be are actively taking away valuable resources to people. But when you learn how to be resourceful with little to nothing, you can make so much out of 15 cents. Let me just say that. And that's just not even on a financial tip. So I want to talk about being resourceful because this is something that's going to be apparent in everyone's life at some point. Whether you are in a bad place financially or not, you're going to have to learn how to utilize your resources and to pull out that card when you have to pull out that card. And some people might, after they listen to this episode, it's like, oh, so you got to be a Karen. Like, no, baby, you playing the game wrong. You playing the game wrong. I'm trying to teach you the game. So listen, there was this time, a couple of years ago when my father passed away. And, when someone passes away, you essentially have to hit the ground running. You essentially don't have time to grieve. You don't have time to sit in your feelings. You have to take care of business immediately because, of course, there is a body, right? A person that was your loved one that you have to tend to immediately because, of course, we all know science and how everything happens, and I don't have to get morbid and all of that, but you understand what I'm talking about. So you have to immediately get to the process of taking care of their final expenses. So during that time, I had the displeasure of dealing with a janky funeral home. And unfortunately, it wasn't just the janky. It was a janky funeral home, a janky doctor, a janky facility. It was a lot of shit that I dealt with when my father passed. And honestly, I wouldn't want to go through that shit again. I don't wish that shit on nobody, to be honest with you. But it just brings home not just having to learn life skills and understanding life skills, but also insurance is important. Life insurance is important. That's not something that you want your family to worry about. It's important to have life insurance. It's important to have accidental death insurance. All of that, even though honestly, insurance to me is the biggest fucking scam. It's like I'm paying so much in advance as a premium for a what if, right? I mean, death is inevitable. Everybody's going to die. Not to sound morbid, but it's the truth. Remember, you must die, right? But it's one of those things where it's like with car insurance, it's like, what the hell I'm paying like an accident that might happen. Like, I mean, I know everyone is not always you, it's the other drivers. I understand that, but 9 times out of 10, in your lifetime, you're not going to get into an accident like that. Probably once, bare minimum, in your life, you'll get into a serious accident like that if you are an unsafe driver. Let me just say that. But anyway, during that time, I dealt with some really disgusting facilities that had low business practices. They were below the lines of where they should be on a business standpoint. And when I tell you, I had to fight the insurance company for 6 months straight. And fortunately for me, I have a supportive family community, a family unit that supports me, and we're all able to come together and get this thing taken care of for him. But it took us 6 months for them to pay out. And what insurance companies do when it comes to like life insurance, if they are janky like that, what they will do is they will string you along for an X amount of time. And this is only if, I don't want to say only if, but this is if there were circumstances that were outside of their guidelines. So in my father's case, unfortunately, if he had lived one more year and then, say, for example, died the next year after that, because they have essentially a timeline of where you have to pay into it so long before you can actually, utilize it, right? But of course, we all know death is going to come when death comes. It doesn't, you can't schedule death. So that's what I had to deal with. And it took them 6 months after he passed away to actually get paid out during that situation. But the crazy part is they were going back and forth in different circles trying to determine the cause of death and is it a qualifying situation type of thing. And it's like, are you serious? This person has been paying. And if he wasn't fit, quote unquote, fit enough health wise, why did you, go into business with him and give him a policy? You see what I'm saying? So I had to wake up every single day and call. And eventually I got somewhere. But there were other things that I had to deal with outside of them. I had to deal with the funeral home. The funeral home, they weren't doing what they're supposed to do. And I'm going to tell you, because eventually you will have to bury your loved one, because this is a part of life. When you deal with the funeral home, they are to provide everything for you. Meaning, they have the services, they have the casket, they have all these things, but they also have to deal with the death certificate and making sure that everything is on the up and up, right? So they have to communicate with the coroner's office to get that information, the hospital, whatever. The last doctor that they saw before the person passed away, they have to get that information from them, and they have to make sure that the certificate is correct. And they also have to present it to you once everything is signed and sealed. They give it to you. So, well, at least in my case, the person that I was dealing with was the one that was giving that to me. Of course, at that time, I was the medical power of attorney. And trust me when I tell you, I did not want that task. I hated that task. It was horrible. I had to get medical records, right? So I had to do a lot of footwork. A lot of the footwork that the people whose jobs it was to do the footwork for me, because that's what you're being paid for, right? So a lot of the stuff that I had to do it by myself. And I got a lot of things done. But again, I still had to deal with janky doctors and janky funeral home directors. And I'm saying all of this to say, because I had to get resourceful, because, and you can say whatever you want about what I'm going to tell you, but this is a fact of life. Information on people and using your play card, your ace in your hand as a tool to get things done is a last resort, right? I don't deal in manipulation. The only time that I would ever consider doing something like that is if the person that isn't doing what they said that they were going to do in this particular situation, because granted, every situation in your life is not going to require all this. 9 times out of 10, you can just say, F you, I'm leaving, and go about your day. But when you want to get something done, you have to get grimy. You have to be that letter writer. You have to be that Karen. Every once in a blue moon. And a blue moon does not come around often. Trust me. So in this situation, you would reach out to the board of health. You would reach out to the powers that be that provides the paycheck to said person. When you play with people money, that's when they get serious, okay? When you play with someone's money, listen to me, when you play with someone's money, that's when shit get real. Because you're fucking with their livelihood, you fucking with their bread at their table, that's what you're fucking with. And when you do that, you have to be ready for whatever come after that. And granted, we're not doing this to be malicious. We're not doing this to be, this. We're doing this because justice. We're doing this because it was your job to do this and you're not doing your job. So I'm having to do your job as a civilian. I am having to do your job for you, and I am not in the medical field, mind you. The closest I've ever came to a medical field is an OBGYN appointment, a dentist appointment, an annual checkup, okay? That is the closest to the medical field I have ever gotten, okay? I don't go to medical school. I've never been to medical school. So if I have to sit here and do your job as somebody that never been in these spaces before, I'm on your ass. I am on your ass, okay? So with that being said, with this particular doctor, unfortunately, and it's like I understand as somebody that I haven't personally, I never knew a doctor, right? But I understand and I sympathize with people that are in the medical field because it is a very taxing thing. But you have to be, it takes a special person to be a doctor, right? A very special person to be a healer. This is why you have to be careful with who you go to as a doctor, because everyone isn't supposed to be a doctor. A lot of people get into these fields, the mortuary field, and lack customer service skills. They lack social skills, people skills, interpersonal skills. They lack empathy. They don't have these core skills that requires their business to succeed. And the only reason they will go into business in any of these fields is because of what they would get paid annually, right? People go into fields that are very important because the mortuary business booming. Not a lot of people can do that because honestly, it takes a lot mentally because you're seeing the deceased, and everybody that dies isn't elderly. There are children that dies. They're fucked up accidents that happen, and you have to look at this. You have to have a certain mental capacity to handle stuff like this. That's number one. Number two, number three, actually, you have to have integrity, right? Everyone that goes into these different fields of, study, and they lack integrity. They lack interpersonal skills. They lack empathy. They lack core social skills that they need, because you're not just you have to be a people person going into these fields. Even if you're dealing with the deceased, right? You have to have people skills, because you're not just dealing with a dead body. You're dealing with that person's family, right? That person's family, they're going through it. They don't know if today was yesterday or yesterday was today. Like they're everywhere. And it's important as a mortuary director to keep it together, have some, couth to you, right? You have to have that essence to you. In order to get things done, you have to get your hands dirty. And during that time, I was teetering between here and not here. Mentally, spirit, I was just all over the place. So I had to pull a trick out of my hat that my mother taught me. And that trick is to utilize your resources. Learn to be a letter writer. The reason why a lot of people write companies, write their aldermen, write different things, sign petitions, is because it moves. It makes things happen. And I had to understand that, well, I actually had to utilize that skill set because the world that we're living in, they play grimy. You expect people to have integrity. That we live in a lawless world. Even though they claim to have laws and they claim to have rules, they don't follow them. It's a facade. You see it every day. You see it with the presidential candidates. The rules don't apply to them. It applies to everyone else. So in that instance, you have to be that which you don't necessarily agree with to get some shit done. And this is literally a law out of, and this is, my mother taught me this years ago. This unspoken rule came from an elder. And this is actually in the 48 laws of power because it is something that is a very real life and a lived experience of many people, especially those that are from disenfranchised communities. People that look like me or otherwise, different colors, colored folk, okay? We were always given the shortest end of the stick. The first one to be fired and the last one hired. All of the things, right? So it's always important to only utilize certain resources. I mean, you're always should be utilizing your resources, but only utilize certain resources when there are no other courses of action, right? So in the 48 laws of power, there is a law. It's called law number 40, despise the free lunch. And this literally speaks to what is being offered to you for free is worth less than what is paid for. Now, this is kind of something that has to do with the perception of value. If you know, in the realm of business, people say they like free things, but they really don't. I never forget, there was this one lady that I followed years ago, business owner. She had made something free. I forgot what it was, but I saw the value in it. And if I lived in a DMV area, I would have took advantage of it because it's fucking free and it's great. But the way the human mind works and the perception of value, the perception, if you aren't going into your pocket, having to make a decision and saying, you know what, do I really need, like, if you don't have to sit here and sit with yourself about it, it must not be valuable. Now, granted, that's not necessarily true, but how the human mind works, it's fucking stupid. It's crazy. But that's what it is. So yes, despise the free lunch. Don't give everything away for free because a lot of people don't see the value in things that are free. Charge. People always say, oh, spiritual people shouldn't charge for a lie. A lie. I don't know who came up with that dumb shit, but that's a lie. But anyway, Essentially, this law, it says it encourages, basically, it encourages the understanding of the value of resources, right? And I'm talking about resources. Resources are valuable. You know, when you watch those movies and it'd be like, oh my God, he's got information on me, like the old mob movies and stuff like that. And it's like, you're going to have to pay me for my silence. And the crazy part is a lot of the stuff that people got information on a certain person, that could damage their reputation, right? But not only can it damage their reputation, it could potentially cause them to lose money, right? So it's two-sided. So you don't always have to put so much value on information. People use things to shame people and hold things over their heads. People, like I've heard before, they say men shame, women bully. And it's true. In certain situations, and just speaking from a human nature's perspective, humans typically like to shame in general. Just across the board. Like, remember when you used to do this? Remember this? Remember? People live in shame and regret, and they think that that's everyone's kryptonite, but it's really their own. This is why a lot of people are projecting. But anyway, resources are valuable. Information is valuable, and investing wisely helps you to maintain the power that you have in a certain situation. So in bringing it back to what I was talking about, essentially what I had to do was I had to pull that card. Granted, I don't like doing any of those things. I'd rather utilize my time wisely by focusing on myself, focusing on my businesses, focusing on my mental health, focusing on my happiness, my joy, doing things that I enjoy. I don't like being the bitch. I got better shit to do, trust me. Especially when people think that, maybe for me, they think that I'm out here like, oh, you're trying to shit on me. Like, babes, I don't even think about you. Why do you have this importance to you that I don't have this thing where I think you're more important than me? I'm the biggest person in my world right now. Forever will be. Why do you have this inflated ego like this? You are not important to me. You're important to your loved ones. You're important to yourself. But to me, you are not important to me. Like, why would I put you above me? That sounds very narcissistic, but it's true. It's a fact. So I wouldn't put you above me. So to think that I would go out of my way to make you feel inferior, that just tells me that you think I'm everything that you're not, right? It's one of those things. So when I had to pull that card, when I tell you I emptied all of the clip, I didn't care. I went on a rampage because, well, not on a rampage because that makes it seem like I'm just being a bitch for no reason. It's not true. During that time, I was being tested a lot by a lot of the people that said that they were there for me, but really weren't. They were really snakes in the grass. People that were supposed to be supporting me weren't supporting me. And also the people that I was doing business with. Again, janky mortuary director, janky doctor, janky facilities. I had to deal with those things. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of people tend to underestimate the quote unquote little guy until the little guy becomes big guy and show them who they fucking with. And that's when you become like, okay, yeah, all right, well, let me get my shit together because I don't want problems. I don't need problems from you. And I want you to understand that. That's when you pull that card, because you need to let these know who they are messing with. It's about respect. And a lot of people they go out into the world and they think that they can just treat people how they want to because they don't even respect themselves. But one thing about it is you're going to respect me. You may look at me like, oh, she's nice, or oh, she's pretty, or oh, she's this. I'm a big fucking deal in real life. I'm light years ahead of a lot of people because of what I know. And people don't think that you know a lot because you don't seem like you like I'm off-putting to some people. And I guess, and to be honest with you, that's like one of my deadliest weapons. I don't look like this, and this is why, and this is a life lesson number one: never underestimate someone just because of what they look like. When you judge people based on their looks, like they're not a problem, they're not this, that will be your undoing. I've had a lot of people that I've encountered in my life that underestimated me until I showed them who the fuck I was. And that's when they understood not to fuck with me. And this is not like, oh, she out here, my boss. There ain't none of that. I'm just going to call respect when it need to be respect. And you going to give it. Willingly or unwillingly. I'm going to show you who the fuck you talking to and who the fuck you messing with. And that should be with everyone. And it's not one of those things where it's like, I'm a big kahuna, I'm over here. I'm not that person. I'm not that person. In the sense that, like, I carry myself with a lot of respect. My presence is going to do that. But, and of course, people gonna try you anyway. That's the nature of these ingrates. They're gonna try you anyway because that's what they do. But that's when you got to pull that ace out and show them who it is and who it ain't, you know. And I had to do that. I had to utilize my resources. I had to utilize the knowledge that I was given by my mother in situations like that. And granted, this is one of those life skills that a lot of women, like actual matriarchs, know and pass on to their daughters, because honestly, we live in a patriarchal world where we have to do these things in order to get shit done. Information and resourcefulness is mother. Right? So you have to know when to pull it. A lot of people pull that shit like with the Karens that you see on Instagram and stuff like that. They'd be like, oh my God, I'm gonna call my police officer. Oh my God, he hurt me. He did. That shit I don't condone. That's that childish, developmentally dwarfed behavior that I do not condone. That's stupid. That's stupidity at its finest. What I'm talking about is essentially power moves. You want to get some shit done, you gonna have to mentally one up a motherfucker. If you are able to mentally one up somebody at that little moment when they thought they had you, and you flip the script, oh child, you gonna be all types of bitches and this and that. Girl, let me tell you, you're gonna be everything but a child of God. But I wear that shit like a fucking badge. Because to this day, I guarantee you, the woman that I'm talking about, mind you, I had to put her in her place. Because, and it wasn't one of those things where, oh, I'm just taking everything out on people. When you conduct yourself at a certain level, or say that you conduct yourself at a certain level, I expect that from you. Your word is everything to me. And when your actions don't align with your word, that's when I'm going to call you on it. People don't like when I call them on their stuff. If I have to hold myself accountable, I'm going to hold everyone around me accountable. Your actions have to align with your words when you are dealing with me. I do not give out free tickets. I don't give out free passes. And I barely give grace. Grace is only for children, the people that are physically incapable, and those that genuinely didn't know. that's where grace goes. It doesn't go for adults that know better and choose not to do better. Okay. And that's why a lot of people are in cycles with degenerates, because they consistently give grace where they should have cut them off a long time ago. So I took it upon myself to make sure that this woman's behavior was documented. And this record is going to follow her all the days of the life of her business. And then some, right? She didn't like that. She even threatened me. She even threatened my livelihood. On paper, mind you, right? People don't think, right? This is what she did was the equivalent of like people going on like Instagram and Snapchat, flashing pew-pews and work, right? Like, this is a whole paper trail, you idiot. If anything happens to me, it's a done data. And even this ain't even on paper, but it's already, you in trouble. You've been put on notice. A notice has been put on you in real life and on paper. Okay. So there's no confusions there. But I'm like, first of all, and a lot of things get back to me, right? So I just thought it was very comical because, and I'm just thinking like a million things at one time. I put up a post about my demeanor versus how I speak. This is me. I mean, I'm always me. I have many sides to me, but I don't play about me, right? So I know how to get it done if I need to get it done, right? And I just thought it was so funny. It's like people don't want to take accountability for the things that they say and the things that they do. And then when you call them on it, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe you called me on it. It's like, man, are you fucking serious right now? Are you serious? You can't be serious. Like, come on now. Come on now. Like, I know you kind of not there, but like for real? Like, really? So I just find it comical that people act like this. And this is all a play out of like a psychology book, a book on sociology and human nature. Like it's all there. The thing is, people read these books and don't utilize these skill sets. People hear what their mothers, like their real actual mothers that actually try to rear them, and don't listen. I listened to my mother. Granted, and it pained me to say it when I first realized it, but it was like, damn, my mom was right about a lot of things. Baby, that girl ain't your friend. She using you. Like, mama, no. Whole time. You can't see things when you're in them sometimes, especially when you're young. When you're young and impressionable, you think everybody's your friend. Everybody is not your friend. And you will come to see that as you get older. People, their nature, there are real life gutter snipes out here, okay? And I need you to understand that even though we are in a world where people, where individualism is pushed heavily, and it's a beautiful thing to be an individual, but but sometimes being so away from people can be damaging. I'm not saying get into community with anybody just to say you have anybody, because that's a recipe for disaster. Been there, done that. But make sure that the people that you call your friend or people that are a part of your community actually have integrity, actually live by something, some type of morals, some type of something that they live by. And you can tell by the fruit that they bear, okay? So I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you later. Thank you for tuning into this episode. Make sure that you check out the listen notes of this podcast for highlights, the crystal ball link, book recommendations, and more. Also, make sure that you're subscribed to the VIP newsletter to receive all things a part of the Virgo's Bible Multiverse. See you in the next one. Bye, girl.